In late 2010, the Middle Eastern country of Syria reached a tipping point. The nation fell into a bloody and destructive civil war that remains unresolved today. Over the past 7 years, the destruction has spread across the country, leaving 500,000 dead and nearly 12 million displaced. Their homes destroyed, Syrians have been forced to seek refuge from the violence in unfamiliar places. Families find themselves in new countries, living in circumstances few can imagine. The bordering nation of Turkey has received an estimated 3.4 million Syrian refugees since the war began. Some of them live in large refugee camps run by the state, but many others have settled in small, informal tent camps scattered around the cities and farmland of Turkey. The GCRI Fall 2018 project is an opportunity to show God's love to some of these refugees in a practical and powerful way, and open the door for them to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ. In July 2018, GCRI visited the city of Adana, Turkey, not far from the Syrian border. Adana is a vibrant, fast-growing Muslim city, surrounded by rich farmland that is used to grow a variety of cash crops, from cotton to watermelon. But Adana has also become home to hundreds of thousands of Syrian refugees. Only a few minutes' drive outside the city limits, there are dozens of informal communities. These Syrian families are living in desperate poverty. The children, though full of smiles for visitors, rarely receive any form of education or proper health care. Their tents are ragged, and many live in dirt floors that become mud floors in the winter. The toilets and showers are as basic as you can imagine, and in some cases a river is the only source of water, used for bathing, washing, and drinking alike. The refugees we spoke with in these camps all had very similar, heartbreaking stories. Fleeing violence and leaving behind whole cities ravaged by war, they have gathered into these makeshift communities. Finding low-wage work in the surrounding farms, they struggle just to provide adequate food and shelter to their families.
Back in Syria, I was wealthy. I owned 300 acres of land and grew corn and cinnamon and many other crops. I also owned a shop in the city that my children ran. We lived in a large house and were very happy that all of our needs were taken care of. I have multiple degrees in education and used to be a teacher in Syria before I came here 5 years ago. Now the only work I can get is in the fields here in Turkey. For a whole day working in the field, I'm only paid 30 lira, which is not enough to support my wife and 3 kids.
Although the Turkish government and international aid groups have offered some amount of support to Syrian refugees, most of these informal camps have received little to no assistance. And now, 7 years into the crisis, the attitude of the local Turkish population has grown ambivalent, if not blatantly bitter, toward the refugees. But a small group of Turkish believers in Adana have been compelled by the love of Jesus to show compassion to these strangers in their midst.
God have put me the duty on my heart because He knows that I'm obeying Him, I love Him, and I love others like He ordered me to do. And I'm a father. I have also kids. And when first time I see the situation of refugees, that I thought myself could be on their situation. And it wasn't me thinking that way. That God was putting that words and feel on my heart. Said, Joshua, it could be you. So you have to help these people. So it was the first reason. The second reason, I know the culture. I know the language. So I can communicate with them. When I look at their eyes, actually, they don't have to tell you anything. Their eyes are already talking to you, what they've been going through. And everything what I have started doing and what I am going to do, it's not my thought, it's God thought. God taught me you have to do it. And now I'm doing what I am doing.
Sonuç itibariyle ben de çalışıyorum. Hayatımı idame ettirmem lazım.
I speak very good Arabic, and I can understand these people very well. When I go and see the refugees, I see their suffering and how they are living. But when we bring boxes of food and supplies to these people, you just see the happiness on their faces. And they ask us, why are you helping us when even our Islamic brothers are not? I've done a lot of things in my life, but I've never felt as satisfied as I do when sharing the love of God with these people.
Yani o huzuru bana veriyor ki, bana öyle bir huzur veriyor ki bunu yapabilmem için.
We are serving the refugee communities because we want to help them by meeting their basic needs like food and shelter, and we want to show them the truth that we believe. You cannot bring two truths. There is one truth, and that is Jesus Christ. And for us to go and serve them and to listen to them and counsel them is to show the truth of Jesus Christ.
Joshua and his church, all of whom come from a Muslim background themselves, are devoted to sharing the love of Jesus with these families, first by meeting their physical needs in whatever ways they can, and eventually by finding opportunities to share the hope of the gospel. Because many refugees have a strong distrust of Christians and Christianity, talking about Jesus in the camps can be quite dangerous. Despite the risks, Joshua and his church are not deterred.
It is very dangerous to tell someone who is from an Islamic background about the gospel of Jesus Christ, because you do not know whether they are extremists or not, so we have to be very careful. That is why we started by meeting their physical needs first. In doing this, we earn their trust and can plant the seeds of the gospel.
During our visit, we witnessed the oppressive summer heat that these refugees endure, but the winters in Adana hold even greater trials. The camps become a muddy mess, and the thin tarps that serve as roofs do little to protect from heavy rain and near freezing temperatures. Staying dry and warm become day-to-day concerns, and the patchwork dwellings that the refugees call home are rarely strong enough to hold off the elements.
In the winter, when it rains hard, the rain comes from above, and the flooding comes from below. Many nights we end up sleeping in the water. Right now, our biggest need is for new tarps. We have been here for 5 years, and as you can see, all of our tarps have holes, and rain leaks into our homes. Sometimes our floors are covered in water, and we have to bring our mattresses and belongings out to set in the sun to dry.
Joshua's team has witnessed firsthand the hardships of winter. Rain intruding on a family's one-room home, soaking their few belongings, and leaving them sleeping in muddy water. Before the next rainy season begins, something needs to be done. GCRI would like to come alongside this small group of believers in order to provide these refugees with literal shelter from the storm. Working with a local business, they will apply sturdy waterproof coverings over the top of the existing tents, making them able to withstand the rain and better insulate from the cold. Through Joshua's team, we can provide sturdier roofs and walls to as many as 750 families. The estimated cost of this project is $75,000, only $100 per family.